Good morning, you're welcome to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. My name is Rome Paulson. Well, it's Thursday, the 23rd of January 2025. Hope you've had a wonderful start to your day. On today's breakfast show, we'll be looking at several hot topics, one of which is Nigeria's public debt rises to 142 trillion naira. Much later in the show, we'll be discussing the fact that NLC criticizes 8 billion naira allocation for electricity bill sensitization. We'll also be taking global stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies, as well as some top trending stories. But first, let's see our quote of the day. And our quote says, business is all about relationships. How well you build them determines how well they build your business. And that's according to Brad Sugars. He's a chairman and founder, Action Coach. And he says this morning, business is all about relationships. How well you build them determines how well they build your business. In every sense of the word, relationships are super important. In fact, it is called human capital. You know, the way you actually put money into your business, that's the same way you need to be investing in your relationships. The capital, the human capital that you have determines how well, your money is going to get back for you, how well your business is going to grow. So if you have a team of people that are working for you, invest in their lives, invest in them as humans, as people. And of course, when they're happy, it motivates them to even do more for your business. So how well you build your relationships will determine how well those relationships or those people in that relationship will start to build your business, because they are in great spirits, they are happy, and of course when you're happy you're motivated to want to do more. And also I would like to add that it's not even just about the people working with you. Networking as well is super important. Do you go out to, try to have conversations with people, build relationships with people? You'd never know. You know how they tell you that whatever you need, or maybe if you're trying to get something, you're like 3 people away from that thing. So you just need to know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and voila, you're there. So it's important that you build a solid network for yourself. That relationship is super important. You cannot throw it away. In as much as you might have all the money, if you do not have the team to help build that business or help build whatever you're trying to do, I'm sorry, it's never going to work. So invest in your relationships today. That would do you a lot of good. All right, that's it for our quote of the day. We'll move over to some top trending stories. This first one says, doctors begin 3-day strike in Abuja over unpaid salaries. The Association of Resident Doctors, Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, has started a 3-day warning strike in Abuja due to unpaid salaries, allowances, and unmet demands. The strike affects all government hospitals in the city, including major locations like Wuse, Asokoro, and Iyanya. Dr. George Ebong, the FCTA president, explained that the strike follows a 3-week ultimatum that expired without any resolution. Dr. Ebong expressed dissatisfaction with the ongoing neglect of doctors' welfare, describing them as abandoned projects and calling on the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike to intervene. The doctors are particularly concerned about 6 months of unpaid arrears despite previous dialogues with the government. No tangible actions were taken, prompting the warning strike. After this brief strike, our FCTA plans to reassess the situation, and if no progress is made, they will consider moving to an indefinite strike. They have warned that unless the issue is addressed, a prolonged shutdown of hospitals in Abuja could follow. This action is a continuation of their long-standing grievances dating back to December 2024. Quite unfortunate. This is very sad because doctors are needed. Our medical system in Nigeria, healthcare system, is important, because imagine if someone was to be sick right now and you go to the hospital, you cannot be treated because They're on a warning strike at the moment. And I think the government needs to understand how important, because if you do not have citizens, then what are you really? You're not leading a nation. You're not, because there's nobody there, right? So it's important that they understand how crucial the healthcare system is and ensuring that these people are paid. I mean, a laborer is due his wages. You cannot be owing them for about 6 months. They're trying to have a conversation, come to the table with you. There's no resolution of any sort. And now it resorts to, you know, a 3-day warning strike, which they have said might even be prolonged and, you know, go to an indefinite one, which is something that we do not pray for, because there are lives at stake here. Imagine someone that is probably on oxygen. What happens? So many questions to ask, because if I'm sick and I go there and I'm saying I need medical attention, if I even have a little cut, or if I'm a diabetic patient or whatever it is, and I go there and I say I need medical attention, they might not be able to respond to me just because they have to let the government know that they are serious about this. Owing people is just not the way, and especially in this economy, everyone knows how difficult things are right now. So imagine the little salary that you have is not even enough. But guess what? You're not even paid at all for about 6 months. How am I supposed to fend for myself? How am I even supposed to show up at work? How am I supposed to commute to that place? How am I supposed to feed? How am I supposed to be strong, even mentally, to be able to say, yes, I want to do the job? Because if I'm stressed, of course, I'm not going to do the job the right way. And we do not want a situation whereby, you know, all the medical practitioners, because they're being owed, they're making mistakes with people's lives. It is pertinent that we look at this. And I think the government needs to, you know, come to the table right now, have a conversation on this. Even if you cannot pay them all of their arrears at once, at least have a structured plan. Say, okay, you know what, we're going to pay you XYZ number of months, you know, first, and then before you know it, we have like an instrumental plan where we pay you the other ones. But not saying anything, not coming to a resolution whatsoever, it's quite disheartening, because people need these medical services. People's lives depend on this. People are hinged on this. And if we do not have that, it's the littlest thing that can be done in Nigeria. We're still dealing with battling other things, and then the medical, you know, the healthcare system as well. Quite sad, quite unfortunate. I hope they really do something and they have a conversation real soon. In fact, before the 3-day strike is over, I hope they just come to the table and see what can be done. All right, another top trending story says NUC upgrades medical programs to doctoral status. The National University Commission, NUC, has upgraded certain medical-related programs in Nigeria universities from bachelor's degree to doctoral status. This change aims to improve clinical and practical training, extend foundation knowledge, and enhance clinical skills, addressing all specialties areas more comprehensively. The upgrade is also in line with global best practices in training healthcare professionals. According to the NUC's Acting Director of Public Affairs, Franca Chukwuonwo, the decision is driven by the need for more robust education in these fields. As part of the upgrade, the duration of the affected programs have been extended from 5 years to 6 years to allow additional courses and clinical training. The specific programs upgraded include Doctor of Pharmacy, PharmD, Doctor of Physiotherapy, and Doctor of Optometry. These changes are aligned with NUC's benchmark minimum academic standards, BMAs, and core curriculum minimum academic standard, CMAS, enhancing the quality of education in these critical medical fields. Well, fantastic. Of course, you have to stay longer, but it's good. You know, having a doctor next to your name, it definitely has a ring to it. And a pharmaceutical doctor or a physiotherapy as a doctor, amazing. So, of course, what we want is better ways to, you know, do things and progress, really. This, obviously, is something that they have to now learn more, which is great, because it's not just saying, oh, I understand my own field. You should be able to pick from others in case something happens. And, you can be in a flight and they're asking, is there a doctor on board? You should be able to have ideas of other things, of how the healthcare system in general work, not just your own field of practice. So I think this is a great thing that the NUC is definitely doing. But of course, you have to stay longer in school. And imagine if you're in a public university, when ASU decides to strike, it might even take longer. But we're hoping that that doesn't happen. We're hoping that, people just go in, and if they're spending 6 years in the university, that's what it is. And they're able to, get all the knowledge that they can get everything that is necessary for their course of study. So great job, NUC. All right, another top trending story says NLC rejects Telecom tariff hike, threatens boycott. The Nigerian Labour Congress NLC has strongly condemned the federal government's approval of a 50% increase in telecom tariffs, criticizing it as a heavy burden on citizens already grappling with the economic hardship. NLC President Comrade Joe Ajero stated that this tariff hike comes at a time when workers and the general public are facing unprecedented financial difficulties, making the increase unsustainable for many. Ajero highlighted that for workers earning the minimum wage of 70,000 naira, the new telecom charges would push their monthly expenses on telecom services from 7,000 to 10,500 naira, representing a significant percentage of their salary. He accused the government of prioritizing corporate interests over the welfare of ordinary Nigerians, especially as telecom services are essential for communication and work. The NLC has urged citizens to prepare for collective action, including the potential for a nationwide boycott of telecom services to force a reversal of the hike. While the NLC acknowledged the need for the tariff adjustment, it opposed the extent of the increase and called for a more reasonable, humane approach. The Labour group remains resolute in protecting workers' rights and challenging policies that exacerbate poverty and inequality in the country. This is quite dicey because on one hand, you want to understand with the telecoms, companies, this is something that hasn't been, increased in about 12 years, since 2013 or 2014, if I get that correct. So it's been a long time coming. They've not increased the tariff. We've been paying the same thing for over 10 years. And we know what inflation has been. In fact, last year, we saw what has happened. We saw how the dollar, the exchange rate, went so high. And most of these companies, of course, they need, machinery. They have infrastructure that they have to buy and they have to maintain. They have workers that they have to pay. The new minimum wage started since last year, which is now at 70,000 naira. These people that work for them, transportation costs, feeding, a lot of things have gone up. So their salaries will definitely have to show that significant increase. And they've still been charging us the same amount for the past 12 years. So on one hand, you want to understand the reason behind the increase, which is something that everybody's in there to do business. You want to be able to make profit as a business, not even, running your business aground. But on the other hand, because of where we are as a nation, economically, the economic realities that we've been facing for the past, couple of months or 2 years, almost 2 years, you're wondering, is this the right time? And sometimes you wonder, is that something that can be done? But nothing really. Even though 50% might seem high or might seem like a lot, it's not a lot for the telecoms company, but for Nigerians as well, it's a lot. Because imagine if you were spending about 10,000 naira to recharge your phone, now you're looking at 15,000 naira. That money is definitely going to come from somewhere. Definitely going to come from somewhere. Your salary will definitely take that hit, because what if they are not even increasing your salary? What if your salary is the same from 2 years ago? Or the same from last year, and you have to now factor all of these things. The truth is, as Nigerians, your money might not go as high, but guess what? The prices of commodities every day are increasing. And you have to start thinking of how to cut certain things. You're like, okay, now I have to leave this to put this in. Scale of preference. These are my priorities right now. So even the luxury of having your choice and saying, okay, you know what, I just want to go out and get this and have a good time. You cannot have that anymore. You cannot have that anymore, because there are so many things now you have to even plan ahead. Because who would have thought that we're here now talking about, you know, a tariff hike for telecoms companies. As of December, nobody knew about that. But here we are talking about it again, and it's something that has been approved. So I think the government just definitely needs to have, you know, maybe a heart of the people to say, you know what, fine, we understand that you have to increase it, but maybe increase it gradually. Maybe do like a 20%, 30%, whatever the case might be. And then maybe later on you increase it again as things get better. But not just, you know, putting a whole 50% on us. I understand, you know, on one hand from the telecoms companies, but also me, who's a Nigerian, a common man, I still understand that aspect as well. So, however we can just meet in the middle, that would be great. All right, another top trending story says UI students protest 82-day power outage at UCH. Students from the University of Ibadan UI staged a protest against the ongoing 82-day power outage at the University College Hospital UCH, which has severely impacted their academic activities. The power outage has persisted for over 2 months due to debts owed by UCH to the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, IBEDC. This blackout has crippled the hospital where medical students were trained and disrupted the students' ability to study effectively. The president of the UI Student Union Government, Comrade Bolaji Aweda, voiced frustration over the lack of progress in resolving the issue, describing it as a power play between the management of UCH and UI. The students demanded the immediate restoration of electricity at UCH and all other hospitals across Nigeria facing similar challenges. They also called for the implementation of a 50% discount on electricity tariffs as announced by the Federal Ministry of Power in 2024 and urged the government to prioritize healthcare sector reforms. The students' protests culminated in a march from UCH to the Oyo State Governor's office, where they were assured by Sunday Odukoya, the governor's executive assistant on security, that efforts will be made to engage the federal government and resolve the issue. 82 days, that's over 2 months. In fact, they're just a few days, about 9 days or so, short of 3 months. Imagine having a blackout for that amount of time. We're sending our kids to school because we want them to, you know, gather knowledge, for them to know better, do better, become quality citizens. And if they're going to those schools and they're not able to do what they were sent there for, then what's the point? That's quite unfortunate. That's sad, because they're supposed to be there gaining this knowledge, ensuring that, you know, when they come out of school, they're able to practice what they've learned. But if they were there and they did not even practice anything, they've missed out almost 3 months of study or of whatever learnings they were going to be having in that hospital. And aside that, imagine people, because I know that all of these, you know, college hospitals, teaching hospitals, there are patients that actually come there. So imagine people coming there and you're saying, oh, sorry, we cannot do an ultrasound because there's no power. We cannot do this because there's no power. Imagine at night, if anybody was admitted in that hospital, how would they even survive? The mosquitoes, the heat, we know how hot the weather has been lately. So these are things that I think we're lackadaisical. I think we're just nonchalant about certain things, and we feel like it's fine, they'll be all right. But that's not it. There are some things that are no-brainers. There are some things that are crucial. There are some things that, in the scale of preference, they are top priorities. Power in a hospital is a top priority because people's lives are dependent on that, and not just people's lives, people's well-being. People's learnings are dependent on that because it's a college hospital where they're there to learn. There's so many people that are probably on housemanships and all of that. So why are we not looking at this? Why are we not saying this is important? What's the Oyo State government doing? How are they just even going there now? So did they not know about it? it's sad, and I think we shouldn't even let things like this slide. It shouldn't even happen in the first place, because we keep saying that we want a proactive government, whereby before anything happens, you know, you're already on top of it. And now, of course, the university college hospital is saying there's a power play. So if there's a power play between UI, you know, and this college hospital, why is it not being resolved as swiftly as possible? And for something that is as crucial as this, why do you even have to use that as a power play, if any? So I think there's some things that are just not supposed to be touched. This power in a hospital is important, so make sure that it is always there for the people. All right, that's it for our top trending stories. We'll go on a short break. We'll look at the weather. When we return, we'll be reviewing the papers. Please stay with us.